Hi everyone, welcome to episode, God, I keep forgetting, 8, I guess, of my Knitting Food in the 1900s series, where I work my way through knitting patterns of the 1900s, one decade at a time. I've already done the 90s up until the 20s, so now we've arrived at the 10s. Now for the 20s I already changed it up a little bit by making an accessory, this little purse, instead of the clothing I made for the other decades. This time we're kind of combining the two, if that makes any sense. I'm making a hybrid, if you will, of an accessory and a clothing item, because what I'll be making is a pair of gloves. Now I know it's not really glove season right now, it's springtime, going into summer, but it's going to be winter at some point again. That's for certain. It's always going to be winter again. And I actually struggled quite a bit with finding a pattern for the 10s. Specifically clothing wise, there wasn't a lot, and most of what I found was for babies or children, men, and for the women I mainly found stuff like knitted underwear, which I'm not going to do on the channel. I'm not going to be in my underwear, and stuff like jackets, cardigan type of things, and I already have enough of those. But then I came across a website, I think it's called Vintage Knitting Patterns, I will link it in the description below, where I found a PDF of a knitting and crocheting manual. It's called the Woolco Knitting and Crocheting Manual, pretty straightforward, and it's from 1916, and it's a combination of different patterns, and one that stood out to me was a pair of women's gloves, so I decided to make those. I've never made gloves before, so this is going to be interesting. This is the first pattern in this series that's knit in a round, which is great because I prefer working in a round. It will be probably quite fiddly, especially when you get to the fingers, but it's going to be fine. I have my yarn, and again I went into my yarn stash. So this is another great stash busting project, because I have this Drops alpaca in the color, let me check, 4400, and this is left over from my Valaris 2.0 sweater, because I'm really bad at calculating how much yarn I need, especially when it's my own design and I don't have a reference guide. So I have 2 skeins left over, 2 full new skeins. And then I have my 5 DPNs. These are tiny. This is 2.25 millimeters. But yeah, I'm excited to start. The pattern is only 1 page, so not a lot of instructions for what feels like a lot of steps will be involved in this, I guess. It's not a sweater where you just work the body for I don't know how many inches straight, but okay. There is a lace pattern on the top of the gloves, which should be fun. It is written out, there's no chart because I mean 1910s. I don't think you're gonna find a chart anymore at this point, but we'll see how it's going to go. And I'm just gonna start casting on. Hopefully the size is going to work out. If anything, it might be a little bit too big. I don't think it's going to be too small, which is fine. If it's a little bit too big, it's better than being too small. So we'll see. I'm gonna cast on and I'll see you in the next update. Well, the first round is done. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy. It was a little bit fiddly because of the teeny tiny needles and the fact that it goes straight into the pattern first round. There's not a knit round first, so working straight off the cast on edge was sometimes a little bit of a struggle. But I did the first round, yay. I was a little bit confused at one point. Here it says do all of this, blah 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 blah, and then knit 1 4 times. And at first I thought, this could mean 2 things. It could mean knit 1 4 times, so basically knit 4, or repeat all of this 4 times. But then later it does the normal knitting pattern thing, where it says to repeat this whole thing 4 times. So I guess it means knit 1 4 times, aka knit 4. That's what I did anyway, and it did end up working really well with the amount of stitches I have, so I think that's it. And now what I need to do is repeat the entire pattern 5 times, what it says. And what I mean by pattern is a series of 5 rounds, I believe, if I read this correctly. So I need to do 25 rounds for the wristband. And on the wristband, the whole pattern is repeated all the way around. So you have this thingy here, then the cable, and then this other thingy, and the other thingy, and this thingy, if you will, goes all the way around. And then the cable is only on the top. And we're going to start working on the cable, I believe, in the 9th round. This might take a while, so I'm going to work on the wristband, and then next up we have to work on the thumb. But yeah, it's going to take a while before I get to that point. I need to do the wristband first on these teeny tiny fiddly needles. So wish me luck. I didn't think I would give an update so soon because I've only done 11 stitches of the second round, but I'm so confused because, let me show you. Here is first round, purl 2, slip 1 stitch, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, thread over, knit 4, thread over, knit 2 together. That's a total of 11 stitches. And also says here, this gives you 11 stitches for a first pattern. Great, so we've established that after the first round you have 11 stitches. Then the second round, purl 2, knit 11. I'm not a math genius, but that is 13. Where do those 2 extra stitches come from? And then the third round, if you count all of these, purl 2, knit 2 together, knit 7, knit 2 together, that's also 13. And then the next round is 11, and then 11 again. Where do those 2 stitches come from? I'm so confused. So I'm going to think about this. I may do some test swatches to figure out how exactly this works, and then hopefully I can continue, because I can't believe I'm stuck on the second round. This hasn't happened before. This is the first time I'm really having a problem with the pattern. So fingers crossed that I figure this out, because I have to do something. Okay, so I've been sitting here with my trusty Excel sheet to kind of visualize what they want me to do, because I couldn't figure it out without visualizing it. And I think I figured it out, because I think I was approaching this pattern with a modern mindset. So I was thinking that every explanation of each round would correspond to one pattern repeat, but I don't think it's that way, because I did that. So if I visualized it, you can see that after the first round and after the second round there is a different number of stitches. So what I think is supposed to happen is that you just repeat the instructions. So after the first round I have 10 stitches, but then in the second round I need to purl 2 and then knit 11, so that's way more than 10. But I think I just need to repeat it all the way around, kind of ignoring the original pattern boundaries, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. So I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do this, and if it turns out to be wrong, then I have to start over. But first, let's see what happens if I just do this. Well, I started over because it did not work out. And then I was rewriting the pattern, because I thought if I'm going to make this work, I'm going to have to rewrite everything so that stitch count makes sense. But then, just as I had rewritten the pattern and I was about to start working on my second try, I think I realized where I made a mistake. Because, let me show you. Here it says thread over, knit 1, 4 times. I made a mess of it, but that's what it says. And I read it as knit 4. But I recounted, and if you read it as thread over plus knit 1, 4 times, so thread over, knit 1, thread over, knit 1, blah, 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 then this first row comes to 13 stitches, which then makes the second round work, which is purl 2, knit, well, originally 11, which is 13. And then everything makes sense. So I did that. I started over. You can't really see much of the pattern yet, but at least a stitch count now makes sense. It also makes way more sense to have 4 yarn overs in the middle, because there's a lot of lace openings basically in here. So you need to have yarn overs somewhere. So I'm really happy that I figured it out in the end without having to rewrite everything, and that I can now continue working on the pattern as it was meant to be. So I'm going to do that. Like I said earlier, I need to do the complete 5 round pattern repeat 5 times, and then we can move on to the next step. Let's keep going. Well, after that bumpy start, I managed to finish the wristband. Let me show you. Here it is. It's really cute. I'll show you some close-ups of the lace design. It's a little bit difficult to see the actual lace part, but hopefully after it's done and it's blocked, it will be a little bit more clear. And of course there's also the cable that's running along the top of the hand. And yeah, it's going pretty well now that I figured out how to do the pattern. What I now need to do is, well, again, confusing instructions, because what they say is repeat entire pattern 5 times for wristband. That's what I did. But then you need to start working on the thumb, which is basically increasing 1 stitch every 4 rounds, I believe. The first time you increase for the thumb is supposed to be after you repeat the pattern 5 times, but the instructions then use the instructions for the third round. So I did 5 times the entire pattern plus 2 more rounds to get to the third. So now I'm going to work on the thumb, and all the fingers are knit in plain stockinette stitch, and also the inside of the hand. So it should go a little bit quicker, even though this already went much quicker than I thought it would once I got the hang of it. So yeah, I'm going to have to increase for the thumb, I believe 8 times, and then work the thumb separately. After the thumb is done, I'm then going to move on to the little finger, and then first, third, and then middle finger. So it should go pretty quickly. We'll see. I also have to make a second one, obviously, but yeah. Let's first tackle the thumb. Also, I tried it on really quick, I just put it on my hand just to see if it would fit around my wrist, and it did fit fine. So hopefully it's going to be alright once I'm done with the whole thing. So I finished the thumb, as you can see. Adorable, and that was pretty easy because it was just a little bit of shaping and just working a straight tube basically for 2 inches and then decrease at the top, cast off, and that was the thumb. I'm going to work 4 centimeters roughly, and then I'm going to work on the pinky. Here we are, pinky is done, the pointer finger is done, and I'm now starting to work on the ring finger. I think it's looking pretty good. I kind of gave up on the instructions because I got confused again. So I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that I have more stitches here for the middle finger than I have on the other side. So that's going to be interesting. I'm probably going to do maybe some decreases here before I work that finger, so that I can also kind of tie it in with the stitches I cast on for the pointer finger. But yeah, still going pretty well despite all the hiccups along the way. And I'm excited to keep going and finish this one glove. And that is the first glove done. I'm not going to put it on yet. I'm going to wait for the review to show you what it looks like. But now that this one is done, I need to make the second one. So I started already, I cast on and I did 1 round. And I just need to remember to kind of mirror the other glove so that I don't end up with 2 left gloves. So I need to put the thumb on the other side and then also change the order of the fingers, obviously. Put everything in reverse, kind of. But yeah, this one's looking great. I tried it on, it fits. It looks a little bit weird when it lays like this. The fingers are a little bit wonky, maybe. I'm hoping that blocking it will help, and otherwise it's fine. If it looks okay when it's worn. So I'm now going to work on this second glove, and we're going to kind of fast forward through that because it's the same as the other glove, just mirrored. And then we can block it and go to review. See what they actually look like. Very exciting. And these are the gloves done. Just please ignore that I'm wearing a summer dress right now. It's springtime. Anyway, they are done, and I am surprisingly happy with how they turned out, considering the whole startup issues and confusion that happened during this project. but they turned out really cute. They are definitely not perfect. I will say that there are some places where it's shaped a little bit weirdly, but all in all, they are really cute and I'm happy. This has definitely been the most challenging episode so far. Definitely thought that would happen earlier, but it didn't, so it's actually fine that this one was a little bit more challenging. I don't really mind the challenge, even though I got really frustrated at some point, but I made it and it turned out okay. So, with that, I'm just going to end this here. I think we all know how I feel about this pattern, and I'm ready to start working on the final episode, the zeros, which is very exciting. It's almost over, which is strange. It feels like I started yesterday, but it's been almost a year. So definitely stay tuned for that final episode. I'm now going to leave you with my Hexie Puff update. Thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.